Yes. So thank you all for coming to the Stormwater Master Plan input meeting. We do have sign-in sheets in the back. So we ask if you have not signed in before to do that throughout the process. We're going to have some activities where we get to stand up and walk around, or at the end. So I'm Karen Miller. I'm the Public Works Director and City Engineer. So I'm in charge of the Stormwater Department, Stormwater Division. And I'm so glad you all came here. So we're having this because we want to talk about the city's stormwater system. So Sebastian's stormwater system was designed in the 1950s by General Development Corporation. That is what we've been given. We were given this system. It's an open channel design, meaning lots of open canals, swales, ditches. And it was designed in the 50s according to their standards, which was more for moving quantities of water, not water quality improvements. So that's one thing to remember. Overall, the system intentions are transportation and conveyance, moving water, storage and attenuation, holding water and releasing it slowly, and treatment because of the open channel system. Here are the levels of service the system was designed for, but please bear in mind these numbers are if the system is perfectly maintained by all parties. That does not mean just the city. That means residents, that means private developments, and the city. There's a lot of different components and people involved in this, so we wanted to make that clear. And again, I'm just going over the system in general before we get into the master plan. All of this will be on our website afterwards as well for reference. So in general, we have drainage areas in 3 different sections: east of US 1, north of 512, and south of 512. So each of those areas are separate and not connected, just for reference. So if you're having issues north of 512, it's not related to an issue south of 512. And then I just wanted to remind everyone about private development. The city does not maintain the areas of private development or HOAs. Those areas in red have private stormwater systems. So again, we need private residents, groups to take care of their area, as well as the city to take care of theirs. So those areas in red, the city does not maintain or has any control over that stormwater system. So we are not focusing on those components today. And that was not part of the stormwater master plan as well. Again, talking about east of US 1, we have baffle boxes along Indian River Drive. And if you're not familiar with those, you can see in the bottom right corner, some metal grates on the ground and a sketch of what the internal components, what it looks like. That is intended to remove pollutants. So it holds back sediment, oils, trash, debris. So everything that's flowing through will not go to the Indian River Lagoon. So that helps with water quality improvements and water quality treatment. That was something that the city did add in after the fact. It was not originally in the system's design. So again, how this all works, I know a lot of you are aware, but just background for everyone. The system has a path of water from the roadway and each lot directed to its front yard swale. It's all interconnected system. It moves from the roadway to the swales, to the road crossings, side yard swales, rear ditches. Some of them are right-of-way, some of them are easement, and then to the canals, ponds, wetlands, all before it gets to the St. Sebastian River or the Indian River Lagoon. The order might be slightly different at different areas, but the whole system has to work together. And again, how it works, here's just some stats on our number of miles of canals. We have 8.54 miles of canals, 92.3 acres of stormwater ponds, 52.25 miles of ditches. Our structures, we have 857 road crossings, 770 catch basins, and 9 baffle boxes. There's a lot of different elements all working together. Now, we talked about that transition of water, but I wanted to clarify about the ditches. And we have these maps that will be available later on for you to walk around and see closer up. We have our easement ditches are typically north of 512. Those technically are owned by the homeowner. The city still maintains them just because we know it is difficult for some homeowners to do that, but those are technically deeded to the homeowner. So those are the ones shown in yellow, and all of the right-of-way ditches, the larger, wider right-of-way ditches are shown in orange, and that is city property. So they are owned and maintained by the city as well. But I just wanted to let you know about the difference of all the different components. Again, I hit something. You're gonna get a preview of everything, because I hit to the end. We're not there yet, but just see where we're going. Sorry, you're not gonna like that. Oh, he's just jumping in. Yeah, so road crossings was where we were. And then again, just giving you an idea of the total number of road crossings, we have 857 citywide. They're all city-owned and maintained. They are cleaned and replaced as necessary. But one thing to remember is a lot of them are corrugated metal pipe, which has a 20-year lifespan. So when the system was designed in 1950 by GDC, they were all installed with corrugated metal pipe. As we find issues, we replace them with HDPE or plastic pipe. But you may see some metal pipes in your area, and you may see some corrosion, rust, and so since the 1950s, we have made some improvements, quite a few improvements to the system. East of US 1, installation of the baffle boxes in 1998, 2013. North of 512, we've expanded the twin ditches that runs parallel to Main Street. Powerline Road, we've also added detention areas alongside of it. South of 512, we redesigned the Concha Dam to the way it is from 2000. The Stormwater Treatment Facility, or Stormwater Park, along Angler Drive, that was created in 2010 as a partnership with St. Johns River Water Management District. That location, we pump the canal water into Stormwater Park. It is treated through a system of ponds and weirs before it goes to a wetland, which again allows for treatment before it gets back into the canal. So you may like it as an area to go walk your dog and take a look, but it actually is improving water quality. We've also added Tulip Pond, Stonecrop Pond, and that wetland that's shown in this image, as well as Periwinkle Pond. So all of these improvements we've added have helped with capacity or storage, but also a lot of treatment. So since that was just a background of the system, we would love to hear from you about your opinion in general. And we will have this survey available if you want to use the QR code to fill it out now. We also have cards to pass around that you can easily access. The point of this input meeting is so that we can just hear from all different residents. This is not going to be the only time we get your input. The next parts are going to be more collaborative. And if you don't fill out the survey today, we're giving you the card so you can fill it out at a later date. But I'll give people a few minutes to start that. Or do we skip it and you do it at the end? Because I'm seeing some people take photos. Yes?
Question about all the work that is being done around Wimbrow.
Okay, we can get into those questions about the specific projects later. I thought it was more about getting this set up. Sorry about that. Okay. I just didn't want to, if that's okay. Otherwise, do you think just keep going? Just keep going? They're not really feeling that. Okay. All right. I'll give 2 more minutes to kind of fill this out. And again, if you don't do it now, you can use that card to access it later. And it will not expire, that we will keep checking on it throughout next week. If you have a change of thought, a new idea, you can always fill it out again. Okay. So we're going to do questions about the system and the plan at the end, but if you have questions about how to access this or having issues with this, cool. Is it about this yet? Because I want to make sure we have time for everyone's questions at the end.
About the baffle box.
Oh, okay, about whatever, yep.
Stuff that it separates, where does it go? Eventually, it's got to go somewhere.
So when we clean the baffle boxes, we use, yes. So all of those entities I've gone over, they all require maintenance. And we're going to get into that. They all require maintenance. The baffle boxes, we're going to get into that later. We use our vacuum truck to, first off, we have to get rid of all the debris. We open them up. We clean them on a quarterly basis. It is intensive. It does take 5 employees, if not more sometimes, using the vacuum truck because it is a large containment system in each one. So we have to remove all trash, remove all debris, remove all sediment, clean it out entirely. They also have a filter media that has to be changed once a year. So that helps with the water quality improvements as well. But all of these things take maintenance. I'm thinking people are done or have chosen not to do the survey. So I'm going to move on and we can get to everyone's questions later at the end. Because this is the part that I think you're all here for. That was background. So the Stormwater Master Plan. We have done this many times before. We've had a Stormwater Master Plan in 1996, 2004, 2011, 2013, 2018. The latest one that we've been talking about was completed between 2021 and 2023. So this is not entirely new. It's just a little different because House Bill 53 was passed in 2021. That has changed the requirements for us as a city and everywhere else in Florida. We were required to show our 20-year infrastructure needs analysis and have it updated every 5 years. So this Stormwater Master Plan was 1,712 pages. It was the most comprehensive one we have ever had before because of these new requirements. So I really recommend, if you haven't looked at it yet on the website, to go take a look. A lot of the areas are just educational about stormwater design in general. And then only some components are really about our infrastructure. So in this process, we had a consultant review historic documents. They surveyed existing assets, and they created a GIS map. So that was where they went out and GPS located our road crossings, our catch basins, culvert pipes. And with that, it was both in the X and Y plane, as well as elevation. So it gives us the exact location, GPS, both vertical elevation as well. So with that, they were able to create a stormwater model. With all the pipe elevations connected, they could then model how the water moves in the system. Then they also reviewed our financial status and created an operation and maintenance, as well as capital improvement plan. On the left, you'll see their survey. It talks about every channel they looked at, every pipe they looked at. This is just one image of many. The rest is in that large report. They also show on the right the areas in pink, again, are those private developments that were not included in this study. Those are not owned and maintained by the city. It was just on the city-owned structures. So that means it was not including the swales. The swales are not, like the swale driveway culverts are homeowner-owned. General findings are it's a maintenance-intensive system. Again, because it's open channels, it's affected by sedimentation, erosion, vegetation. We're in an area of pretty poorly draining soils, and we have a high groundwater level. It's common for the area, so that limits the amount of water that can filter into the ground. It also is relatively flat with minimal slopes. So these are all of the things that we are facing, as well as everywhere else in our region. So when they created the model, they created a model for considering a 100% clear system. 100% clear system is according to how it was designed. They created a model and analyzed it for both a 10-year, 24-hour storm. So this is 7.24 inches of cumulative rainfall. In the images, the dots and lines in blue show locations that have capacity and can take on additional water. The areas in yellow are showing minimal capacity or they're overloaded. In red is where it gets to that point. So this kind of shows us where we have our issues for a 10-year storm. Then it goes into a 25-year storm. That includes 9.17 cumulative inches of rain. There's not many differences between our 10-year and our 25-year storm. You'll have to look at the report a little more on your own to see the differences. But when you get into the 100-year storm, you can see more and more locations are in yellow. More and more locations have reduced capacity. So a 100-year storm is 12.4 inches. Again, this is considering a 100% clear system. So if a storm happens, we're not usually at that case because of homeowners or city or private. It could be so many different things happening. They gave us some operation and maintenance recommendations, which included minimum maintenance activities. And those recommendations were to keep the system working as is, a base level of functionality. It's not improving additional capacity or additional storage. It's just improving, keeping it at a minimum level. I will get to questions at the end if it's okay. Because we'll have time to talk about all the questions at the end. Oh, yes, yes. We are going to have all of this on the website. The survey will still be available. I'm sorry I did not have printouts for you. That was an intention. And they also gave us recommendations of a capital improvement plan. So those are those larger repair, larger improvements to the system. So that is not routine maintenance. That's a one-time initial construction and then additional maintenance going forward. So their recommendations, again, the report is 1,700 pages. I tried to sum it up. Okay? Just trying. But if you go to their conclusion section as well, it's there for you. But this is the really simplified version. They recommended we adjust and increase maintenance activities. So all the things the city is doing, they gave us timelines that they thought we should follow. The city has some comments, and we'll get to that later. But they asked us to adjust and increase our maintenance activities. They asked us to implement a computerized management system, to modernize our fleet, increase canal storage, coordinate with St. Johns River Water Management District for maintenance at private property where maintenance has not occurred, obtain total maximum daily load credits from FDEP. That's related to water quality improvements for the lagoon and the river. We are required to reduce the total phosphorus and total nitrogen by certain quantities each year. And they are requesting that we obtain the credits that we are already deserving, but in the system have not yet been finalized. Establish a private systems certificate program where private developments would be inspected and it would be ensured that they're maintained. They had asked us to reduce costs by eliminating quarter round at vacant lots. They asked to continue updating the stormwater management system survey. That's their GPS collected information in our map system. They asked that we continue updating that as things change. And they asked for some policy changes on updating ordinances, mainly about if additional square footage is added to a lot, how that affects your stormwater storage requirements. So those are their general recommendations. We sent this out to council and the public in December. It is now May. There's a lot of things we've done since. In the recommending increased maintenance frequencies, we've adjusted our maintenance schedule for many of the items in the list. The implement computerized maintenance management system and enhanced documentation, we've hired a GIS technician, Ross, who's here, who helped with all the lovely maps that you're going to see later. Moved to electronic work orders. We were using paper work orders in the past. So crews are not happy with me about that, but it's helping log everything. We're using map-based citizen request system to help determine problem areas. If you have not used it yet, it's that one of the QR codes on your card. When you have an issue, you can go to the website or use that QR code, report what's going on. It may just be that you're asking for a question, but we send someone out to take a look and try and sort out the issue, determine who's in charge of the next maintenance. But using that map-based system instead of a list of names and phone numbers and dates helps us determine if there are problem areas. If we're seeing 20 people comment about one thing, we know something else is going on. They asked us to increase staffing with 10 additional stormwater employees. Just so you know, we have 10. Asking for 10 more is doubling the staff. Just remember all of those items we talked about, there are 10 people. Well, at the time of the Stormwater Master Plan, there were 10. There's now 12. So we have filled 2 vacancies. We have 1 additional vacancy to fill. And the Stormwater Department is proposing 4 additional staff in the next fiscal year. So we know it's too much to ask for doubling a department all at once. So we are going to start a little smaller. We're hoping to. They asked that we modernize and increase the fleet. We've replaced 1 excavator. We're waiting on 3 additional replacements. I heard just before this, 1 of the replacements will be here next week. So every year we're reviewing our existing equipment and purchasing what we can and replacing. We're also requesting fleet updates next year. They asked for us to increase canal storage with an adjustable weir. We are proposing a canal study in next fiscal year to review the impacts and the feasibility. And that will be about all canal work in general. They gave us generalized recommendations, and we'll go into the costs of their recommendations, but we are gonna analyze them further and start from there. So the next steps, we're gonna continue to plan and review their report. We want to get public input on these important items, and we are also releasing a stormwater action plan that's going to be updated yearly, especially with the state requirements that every 5 years we need to report again. We're gonna keep this up to date every year, specifically around fiscal budgeting time. It helps to give everyone an understanding of where we're at, what we've done, and keep updating that. So budgeting exercise. This is where you are going to have the option to help us determine how we should plan according to our budget, because we typically do that on our own, but we would like for each one of you to take a page of stickers. And as of right now, you will see with these budget charts, our budget from last year was $2.4 million. We're considering that each sticker is $100,000. And you'll see on the chart that it gives you the number of stickers you would put for each item. But as we're trying to reorganize according to this plan, we want to hear from you, what are the activities that you find most important that we should, if we should add more staff to one item or another. So we're going to go through this little budgeting exercise. So you'll see boards up around, and everyone will get some time to look at all of the maintenance activities the city is already doing. These are all things we currently do, and about the costs it takes to complete each one. Just so a full understanding of the next steps. I don't know if that makes sense. These are more activities that they were talking about. The operation and maintenance plan are maintenance activities to upkeep the existing. This is to maintain existing, not capital improvement, not larger projects. So this is like cleaning the road crossings, clearing the ditches, cleaning the baffle boxes and road crossings, inlets, quarter round cleaning. So
Part of this meeting about improvements as well.
yes, we'll get to that next. So on the page here, because I thought up here it wouldn't help, but you'll see the maintenance activity, the current cost we have per year, the % of our current budget, and if you think that we should keep that activity, it says number of required stickers. So backyard ditch regrading, it's 17% of our budget. So we valued it at 4 stickers. If you think that's something that we should keep doing, I'd ask that you put 4 stickers there. This gives us a chance to kind of look at some things that you want to remove or you want to add more onto. I'm seeing some faces of like, I don't know what you want me to do. Yeah.
Yeah, so just let's everybody come up and do this exercise, and then we'll go into our improvements and how we're going to go from there. But we want to know if we're budgeting for the right things. And that's where Karen has presented this at this moment for you all to come up, tell us if what we're doing currently is what you think we should be doing. And maybe we learned that you all apply stickers to areas that we aren't. We're spending a less percentage of our budget on, so we need to highlight this in our upcoming budget, so that as we continue to go forward, we're budgeting for what our residents think we should be doing within our stormwater system. So that's the first part of this exercise. Yes, I'll let you ask a question.
I'm seeing a lot of numbers. You don't want us to say what we want to budget. What's working? We see a lot of construction along some of the roads. They're digging up the ditches. They're not putting quarter rounds. They're putting grass on top. I don't see what's different. You know, we have homeowners that are not keeping their swales maintained. Is that the city's job? Is that the homeowner's job? I've got a conservation easement. The city hasn't come in there to clear that out. My husband's digging and shoveling and stuff like that. So before we decide on what money is worth it, what's really working for our particular areas?
So I'll let Karen kind of go into more detail, but I'll tell you one of the things, a couple of the concerns that we have from a city standpoint. Just to start off to begin with, front yard swales is a major issue across the city. Front yard swales are the responsibility of the homeowner, okay? So that is one of our major concerns whenever we start to get increased rainfall. Everything kind of starts from the roadway. The roadway is part of our stormwater system. Let's just be clear on that, because that's how it immediately starts to shed out of the way and how it gets from point A to point B in some areas, once the swales are full. So it then goes into the swales in the front. If they are not accurately maintained by the homeowner, then you have choke points that cause increased flooding in those areas. So enforcement for front yard swales comes from a mixture of a proactive approach from code enforcement and reactive on complaints from homeowners when we have flooding concerns and we get phone calls that come into the department. So just to give you a little history on code enforcement, we have 2 officers. They process in the range of 2,000 to 2,500 calls, site visits, things on a monthly basis for 2 officers. So a lot of that we have learned in our recent research over the last month or so, that a lot of it is proactive. They're going out being proactive for things, and not as much reporting from the public, because Florida statutes now require when you call in for a code enforcement that you have to say who you are and provide that information. So it discourages a little bit of homeowners from calling in on other homeowners. But if you come to our citizen request line, report there's a flooding issue in your area, then they go out and we look at it and we see that there's an elevation issue. So then code enforcement comes out, they'll cite them, and they have to come into compliance. They come into compliance before it goes to the magistrate, all is well, we continue to move forward. Another thing we found here in recent, and it's helped with the new GIS map and the stormwater master plan, is that elevations aren't the easiest thing for people to judge, and even for our staff, we're going off elevations from a different area. So part of this master plan that was completed gave us a lot more GIS coordinates and a lot better elevations across the city. So we can better go off those elevations when we're out. You're referencing the area that we're doing swell work right now. Those are road paving projects. So part of our road paving project currently is we're going to be repaving roads. So before we do that, we come in and regrade the swells. We do it the one time, but then it's on the homeowner after that, because it's a benefit to the city and the taxpayers when we're spending money on paving roads, that the swell system needs to be working accurately and functioning properly.
So when I first moved here, there were quarter rounds.
So I'll put that to end now. The quarter round system is no longer a possibility. It's not being done within the city. It was done on a couple-year basis, and I know they had longer-term plans for it, but it was stopped 10 years ago, 8 years ago.
2013.
So
10 years or more.
Correct.
And that was because
so
of,
I know that we're going to get to all of those projects, but I guess what we can do at this point is kind of what we want to see here is up here. We have backyard ditch regrading, retention mowing of city property and detention ponds, your driveway culverts and things like that. We really want to see what's here that tells us quarter round cleaning. We have some quarter rounds in the area that are clean, but they're the ones that are on city property that we clean. Okay, One of the recommendations from them was to eliminate it. So if nobody thinks we should be doing it, we need to eliminate it because it does cause a backup on that. So.
How will we know as individuals how well something is functioning? Say, an example, baffle box, and it needs attention, but we're going to be putting, we don't know that it's functioning incorrectly. It should be at a certain standard level. How will we know which color we're going to put on there because of kind of seems subjective, what.
Correct, and I think, exactly. It is subjective to a certain extent. We have a routine baffle box quarterly cleaning. I think it's quarterly. Is that correct, Phil, Karen? Every 3 months. We're doing it quarterly. But do you think we should continue to do that, or should we eliminate baffle boxes? I don't think that's the answer, but we have to be able to show that what we're doing is what is wanted and what is needed. So in regards to routine maintenance, we do the routine maintenance, yes.
I know you're not talking about swells, but I think there's a cooperative where the city could recommend one company who will give it cheap economies of scale so we can reduce pricing that would probably help reduce it. Just throwing that out there.
Yes. Absolutely. Yep. So the first question he asked, I'll just repeat it for him, it's easier. First question he asked is if I can read these items so that you all can hear it from me. And then what's your second question?
Second question is, since 2017, which is prior to some of the studies that you said you've done, I have complained of in the southwest corner of Sebastian on Stormwater Street. You all know there's a problem here to the point where the police will come to my house before a storm and tell me to evacuate. The times I come into this place complaining about it, they tell me nothing can be done. Very frustrating.
Okay, so just to repeat what he said, he's lived in the southwest corner of the city on Stonecrop Street. He's complained to the city since 2017 in regards to flooding in his area when we have storms that come through. Our police department will come and tell him he has to evacuate during storm time, and he's came to City Hall numerous times and told nothing can be done. Is that correct, sir? I just want to make sure they hear it. Okay.
So I would like to, at another point, I can talk to you about your specific location, but I know we do have a large project that's been underway and we're waiting for, and we have an update. Okay. Well, we have our Stonecrop project is a complete regrading and armoring of the ditch from Laconia to Majestic, and that is, it's a FEMA hazard mitigation grant program that we've been waiting on answers from them. We finally just received answers from them in April. We've been working with the contractor, and if you do live in an area that is related to that project, you should have already received a door tag with specific information about that project. And I've been asking people, okay, so I will check in with you again after just to make sure I have the exact location.
Everything flowed down Laconia, Stonewall. Fred lives in the area. A heavy rainstorm will start flooding my street.
So, sir, I think she can have a discussion with you after this, but we can't completely alter the way the system operates. It's not, I understand your frustration, and altering the system was developed back in the 50s. Where you're at, yes, there is a lot of water that flows to that one area, because then it discharges out to the south prong of St. Sebastian in that area. So it all comes there and then continues to funnel out. So we can have a discussion with you after this.
And later on, you'll see some of the future capital improvement projects that some of them will help with that, and we wanted everyone's input. But there's so many projects that are options, but we wanted to know where everyone else's priorities were. Just because the city can choose their priorities, but we want to make sure everyone else is heard. Again, if there's like specific location issues, we're not going to be able to go over every single one of those, but that's why you all have those cards. And we also have cards out for a citizens request line, because maybe it's something that happened before. Check in again. Let's start over and see if maybe things have updated. Maybe we have more information in between, case by case basis.
So I think what we can do real quick per your request is I'll go through the list here. And Karen, if you can kind of say, things that are failures that we, from a city standpoint, because I know we've gotten some feedback to what works and what doesn't. So backyard ditch regrading,
And that is on a 5-year basis. That's a rotating 5-year basis. Just so you know, in the Stormwater Master Plan, they recommended a 10-year basis, but the city does not agree with that recommendation. So that means that we constantly will have someone in the backyard ditches regrading, and then on those, it will take us almost those 5 years to go through the entire city in rotation, so by drainage zone. It's an more extensive cleaning it out. So we're removing all vegetation that's been growing for the last 5 years. So it's reestablishing grade. And that's where we have changed that we have been removing a lot of that to our site at the Public Works compound. We do leave some dirt and some material. If we see the bank is eroded, if there's an issue, we put it back and tamper it down to try and reestablish the bank. But most of it is removed. I know in the past, the common item was to put it all in location. That has been stopped, and it's been limited to where there's an issue that it needs if you're seeing erosion. Yeah, and that's another thing. One of the items down here is the ditch mowing, rear and side yard. That is a large cost by the city. So we wanted to hear everyone's input and comments about that. Because there are some good things about it, there are some bad things about it. We know that, that's the thing is, so that's the thing is north of 512, those ditches are owned by homeowners. But, yeah, exactly, because the city is in charge of it. And our system, as of right now, the way it's permitted with St. John's River Water Management District, it is mostly an open channel. So we are in a good situation because of water quality improvements. Having an open channel rather than piping, it gives the water time to filter through the soil and the dirt, and you're not washing it all away straight into the river. So there are some good things, but with that, we are allowed to pipe segments of our system. But for us to pipe and alter the system entirely, that would trigger issues with St. John's that our whole system would have to be redesigned. We can't let all of the water go into the river. Okay.
So let me just say real quick, if you have specific instances at your homes, like what you're talking right now, we're not going to solve that here in this setting. So let's, after this meeting, you can speak to me, Karen, any of our staff, give us a specific location, we can take a look at it. It probably has something to do with the flow, the elevations, has got to be causing that issue at some point.
And I know it is.
So to go with specific homes and your specific instances is not going to be productive in this setting.
And I do know one thing that we're debating with changes to the budget is hiring more people so that we can remove everything that's cut after that mowing process. We do not have enough staff right now to do that. We do not have funds to hire and buy more equipment to do that yet. But we wanted to hear from you, is that something we should prioritize or not? So the colors it's just the sticker. The colors are just, you'll see up here, number of stickers required for us to keep doing this. So this is like the overall budget.
If we can have everybody come up, let's
money.
do this, then we'll go into our larger projects. And then we can
So yeah, we'll finish,
yes.
we won't do comments in between, I guess.
So retention, detention, city property mowing, half of driveway culverts related to road repaving, driveway preparation and disposal for road repaving, ditch mowing, rear and side yards, citizen request responses, swell inspections, miscellaneous repairs, inlet and road crossing cleaning, road crossing replacements, slip lining. We will explain that a little bit because slip lining is when we go through and have to repair failing road crossing pipes and bring them back up to their current flow capacities that are allowed. So that's slip lining, where we go in and reconfigure the inside of the pipe without having to dig up the road crossing and do all that additional work. Stormwater engineering inspections of new construction, hurricane preparation is done, quarter round cleaning, vegetation control in pond and lake maintenance, and baffle box cleaning. So you will see that basically aligns to the total budget that we have for a year on what we currently do. Yeah, basically what we want to do is we want to know if what we're doing is what you want to see us do with this exercise.
The colors are irrelevant.
The colors are irrelevant.
So over here, you'll see the number of stickers. Like if you want to vote that we should continue to do this, you put 2 stickers here. And if we're going to see that there's more in certain areas than another, we might have to recalibrate and reconsider what's going on. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything for more retention ponds or anything like that.
That would be under the capital improvement projects because that's a change in the system, a new design, adding capacity. This is maintaining existing as it is. Capital improvement, that's separate, but that's something that we need to consider as well.
We are
We're
going to
get
talk about that, yes. We just wanted to make sure we capture everything that was included in the master plan for our action plan on where we're going to go going forward. All right, so if everybody can come up, we'll get through this, then we'll go on to the projects.
Yeah, you each. I know. And then we have more of these too that, I don't know. Can you guys help like make more boards? Can you help make more boards? We have more of these, or make and put them out here. On his eye.
You got it?
He's got it. All right, so thank you for participating in this, but we are going to ask everyone to kind of go back to their seats. You will have an opportunity to come back.
And we'll give you a chance at the end to come back up and just finish what you're doing right
Yeah.
here. We just need to move forward to the capital projects and those
yes.
elements.
And this is where I wanted to go over our current financial status. So that was one component of the Stormwater Master Plan, that they reviewed all of our previous budgets, our expected stormwater utility revenues. So right here, you can see what we're considering revenue is that red in the back, overshadowed by our expenses. We have kept the stormwater utility fee, that's the $10 a month. Let me just make sure, yeah. I'll get into it in the next slide, but that's the $10 a month fee for stormwater maintenance. That is the fund for the stormwater department. That money is what goes to all of these activities. That is what we're supposed to use. We are supposed to be self-sufficient. It is supposed to be, and I'm saying supposed to because with projects and certain things, you have to dip into gas tax and other things. That was created so the stormwater department would be self-sufficient. It was created 2017. That was the last time it was increased. It has been $10 continuous. So we are seeing that our expenses are rising and our revenues are not increasing.
In regards to the revenues not rising, the size of this town feels to me in the last 3 years to have doubled. I'm sure all those people are paying tax.
Yeah, and that's where I'll admit when I was looking at these numbers, I did feel like we have seen increases, and we also have a map that we constantly reference of vacant lots and homes with certificate of occupancy when they're finished being built. But as things are sold and changed, we haven't been seeing as drastic of an increase. It's still going. It's been small. We are, as of right now, what we typically take in is $2 million. Our budget that we asked you to work on here, we've asked is $2.4 million. So we are already over our stormwater utility fee that we're receiving, already there. And we've been trying to keep it down as much as possible. But from this review, the Stormwater Master Plan, the company reviewed it, and they recommend a 41% increase. 41% sounds intense and drastic. It would be $4.10 a month, and that's to make sure that we can keep the minimum maintenance level on the system. Remember, they said 10 employees more were needed to make sure the ditches, the swales, the culverts, the road crossings were all clear. That's what they saw for the system. It's maintenance-intensive system. So they proposed a 41% increase. So that new rate, instead of $120 a year, would be $169.20. That would give the city $820,000 more to work with in our budget. This is just for operation and maintenance. Capital costs are completely separate. Yes, we wanted to emphasize that because I can see you understand. This is just for cleaning and repairing small items. This is not installing new ponds, new designs of whole areas. That is not for this. So I did want to see, now that we're just trying to consider if we change the fee. We're not saying we will change the fee or by what percent, but we wanted to make it clear to everyone what we're facing. So we wanted to give you a chance of these are some items down here that we have not been focusing on that we thought might be something to include. We also understand some of these items up here, we might want to include more, but if 41% increase, it would account to 10 stickers. So what I wanted to do is I'll mark off where we are here, and I wanted to see if people adjusted and added things in different areas. Yeah.
Do that at
the additional,
end. We can do the additional at the end, and then that way we can get into the.
Okay. And then, so these additional activities would be additional road crossing or inlet vacuum, a new vac crew. So as you were mentioning about the ditches after the mowing, we have buildup of clippings at the road crossings. This would account for a crew that all they are doing is working with a new vac truck going around the city and cleaning out culverts and choke points. That would entail an entirely new crew and an entirely new vac truck. We're also considering an emergency swale crew. This is not, there's a few different options. We're thinking an emergency swale crew considering just initial trenching by the city, not regrading the entire swale, just trenching, and what if the resident cleaned up what was trenched out? Then there's the scenario, what if the city cleans out what was trenched out? So we just wanted to give you a sense of the difference in the two costs. So you see what you're actually paying for and how it equates. Then there's also full regrading of residential swales, similar to what we're doing at the road repaving projects. So I gave you the 3 different types of costs so you can understand if we're asking for a fund increase, if you wanted that, we would kind of have to go in that direction. And we're also curious if the other items that you would be adding additional funds to. So just something to keep in mind. But the capital improvement projects, we have a map of all the projects that they've recommended, and we'll have that out here for you to look at further. Some of them we are already in progress, some of them we have planned, and the others we just wanted your input, what should be the focus. Because I know it might be a little too small for here to look at, but we would like you to rank your choice of the capital improvement projects. Now, you can then later you can come up and look at the map of where that location and where it correlates to, but I've also given you the cost. The Benedictine area culvert improvements is one location. Blossom Ditch drainage improvements, that would be a coordination with Indian River County. So I cannot guarantee that we could do that project because it involves Roseland Road and 512 and connecting our ditches across Roseland Road. But it's something that the company proposed. This is something the city looked at with the county many, many, many years back. It did not go forward. We do not know if it can go forward, but it's something we're still entertaining and discussing with them. Canal restoration. I just wanted to show you it's $200 million within this proposal for us to clear and dredge the 200 million. So then so I wanted to say there's 2 different things here. I just wanted to simplify the results of the report so that you can find the information, because if you're looking for this in the report, it gets really confusing. So the canal restoration, the total override cost, and you come up and look at our map of every single canal where we would dredge, clear, and grub alongside those edges, and this includes seawall repair, just so you know. That's one of the big reasons it's so expensive. It includes seawall repair. And one thing that they brought up in this process, because many of the seawalls are owned by the homeowner, we cannot go for grant funding. So I know a lot of people will say, go for grants, thinking, why can't you do this? If it is a private structure, we cannot get public funds for it until.
Where did the funds come that did Hardy Park?
And that comes out of, and that's where the city can go for a bond. The city can go for a bond for that. So the city can go into debt for these projects. That is something we can do. But it was a bond. And so Collier was a bond situation for the city. We have paid off those debts. But so if we spread it out over 10 years, it would be 20 million per year instead of 200 million. We are also evaluating and that's where the canal study going into next year is evaluating if we remove the seawalls or abandon the seawalls and do an earthen embankment. I know we've done this in the past, but we want to see if this is an option as well. That would reduce maintenance. The city would then be in charge of that. Earthen embankment, so kind of, it would be rocks along the edge. It would be a shallow slope, riprap. So it would not be a vertical sheer wall at the canal. It would be a very gradual slope like this. Yeah. There's good and bad to everything we're looking at. There's good and bad to everything. I know. But they can climb over that wall if they want. Yeah. And that's one thing, if you already have a wall, it's in good condition. Again, this study is kind of to determine how we would approach that. There are definitely areas of the city with the canals that it is too narrow to do this sloped design, just because it would reduce capacity if we did it in that area. So that's where we want to keep evaluating, because we want to keep those costs down. We Yes, that includes the dredging. And that's one of the biggest things we want to do. We want to dredge the canals, and also in this report, they talk about we need to do a study of the canals to determine their current depth. The stormwater model that they made shows the depth of the designed system in the 50s. And you all know, there's sand, there's sediment, there's dirt, there's muck, there's lots of things. There's aquatic plants that are growing in there. So we would be studying what current depth is there, figuring out all of those elevations, and then dredging it back to what it was originally designed, so we're getting more capacity. And we're also removing all those nutrients, we're getting rid of that nitrogen and phosphorus that's in the system, so it is something that we would get BMAP credits for from Florida Department of Environmental Protection. More questions? Then, yep. There would still need to be maintenance of. So this dredging is a mechanical, but one thing to consider is that right now, I think he's talking about our aquatic vegetation plan and our integrated pest management plan and what we do with the vegetation in the canals. If we dredge and we remove all of that material, it will be easier to maintain from the beginning, and you can keep it at bay from that time. We're right now constantly trying to combat something that has so much nutrients, so much fertilizers from runoff from everyone's lawns. So it's in a vicious cycle that we can't keep up, so we needed to start fresh. And that's where it is recommended ponds and other areas should be dredged on a regular basis.
Yeah, I think most of the stuff that's going into the lagoon is not fertilizer. It's septic. Okay? That's the bottom line. You know, if you really check into it, most of the nitrogen that's going in there is not from the fertilizer, it's from the septic tank. Every septic tank drains into your swale. The swales drain into the ditches go into the canals go into St. Sebastian River. Yeah. St. Sebastian drains into the lagoon. So unless we start looking at that problem, and we fix one problem but create another one, we're not doing ourselves a favor.
I completely agree with you. So if you didn't hear what he was saying, he's talking about the septic tanks and their impact on all the stormwater system and how it can, if a septic tank is not functioning properly, it's eventually going into our stormwater system, into the lagoon. We are working on a septic to sewer program that is not in our stormwater capital improvement plan. It's just a citywide capital improvement plan. But that is something we are working on. We're literally meeting with the county tomorrow for an additional meeting about how we can move forward with the CRA, the community redevelopment area, closest to the lagoon. So we've talked to the county already about what infrastructure they need to put in so that we can allow certain residents in that, not certain residents, but residents in that area to connect to the infrastructure. Some locations do not have connection points. So we've had a grant program, a STEP program in 2017 to 2019. That was where we asked residents in that, or residents or business owners in that area, they could apply for the grant. The city covered the connection fees. So we covered all of the connection fees to the sewer system. We had a lot of people apply for it. We also had a lot of people say, I don't want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. And now that the regulations are changing, FDEP is requiring after 2030 You should be on an enhanced septic system or sewer. All of these residents and businesses that we previously said, please, 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 take this grant, take this funding. This funding expires in 2019. Now they want to join us. So we need to start this process again. So, and I know other areas are doing the same, but our focus right now is the CRA, immediately by the lagoon. Then we can focus on other areas, but we're starting with that first and going from there. And he can talk more.
I'll just clarify, the county is the sewer utility. So we have to work with the county, and that's what our attempts are currently, is working with the county to improve the connection and the infrastructure for sewer within the city of Sebastian. It has to happen, and that's going to be our push in working with the county to make that happen.
So I will put this back up afterwards to give people a chance, but we can go into general questions, and then later on I'll leave this back up that we would love for you to rank the capital improvement projects that you think are the most important. We will also have a capital improvement project map up here, and we'll have this information on the website as well, and we can go over it further about details of specifics.
So we're going to allow questions now, but you have to speak into the microphone.
Yeah, we're going to.
I know we've let a little bit go here, and I apologize for that, but we're trying to get through this informational portion. You've got to speak into the microphone. We're recording it. It's public record. We need to make sure that it's all spoken into the microphone. So raise your hand, and we'll start right here, and then I'll take the mic around.
Okay, thank you. I was on the EPA website, the federal one, earlier today about stormwater, and I was looking at some of the solutions they have. I know this is not an easy one, but they did say try to lower density. So I was wondering, is the city behind lowering density of new homes building here, or is that going to not be addressed?
And that,
I'll answer that one in a correct way, I hope. The city is very smart, and we manage the growth that happens within the city. One of the big things right now that's happening across the nation is you're looking at workforce housing. Some people call it affordable, but workforce housing. And in order to get cheaper homes so that our workforce, and what we consider workforce is teachers, police officers, city staff, our maintenance workers, everybody across the board, that's what we consider workforce housing. And in order for them to be able to attain housing, unfortunately, in those elements, density has to increase. Because that, in order to make that happen, in building a home now, and an affordable home for that workforce housing, it has to increase density at a certain point. So there's kind of a little bit of a give and take. I can tell you that our council is very smart and managing growth that happens within Sebastian. That's going to be our continued approach. That is a little bit of an element of where you'll see some increased density is with workforce housing. So, next.
I live on Schuman Lake. Is that part of canal restoration?
yes, that is included in that. So if you, and also all of this, I really do recommend you go to the website for our Stormwater Master Plan page. It has the entire 1,712 page report, but you can skip to certain sections. So if you go to the capital improvement project section, it takes that canal number that I've given you and broken it down according to locations. So there is a broken down, a direct cost about Schuman Lakes and that area and other areas. So if you, pretty much all of these things.
Is that grant money, or where's the money for all that coming from?
So that's, this is the, yes, that's the magic question. It depends. I'm sorry, I know that's not a great answer, but it depends, because if we change ownership, we could go after grants, but that increases later operation maintenance. If we don't go after grants, it's a high cost initially, but then it's on the homeowners, depending location to location. But yeah, we're trying to figure it out. So we want your input on, should we focus on that or should we not focus on that?
Yes, thanks. I feel there's a pink elephant here, though. We're talking about nutrient levels, trying to lower our nutrient levels and suck out the muck in the canals, which is created with an Agent Orange type cocktail. There's no talk about changing your ways on controlling the growth around those canals. So what's the deal with that?
And that's one thing that when we're talking about the canal restoration, that's a full-blown redoing everything in the canals. What you'll see in our last budget was we did consider a small portion of money if we just mechanically remove and dredge in the center just to get rid of that muck. But we also know that doing that is not solving the whole problem. You're dealing with the side slopes. You don't want to undermine seawalls that are already having issues. So we can do something temporarily like that for a much lower cost, but we also want to know, are you okay with us doing that temporary removal or going for the full design? So, yeah, because it will be, if we do mechanical removal and a full dredging, it's easier to maintain and stay on top of that vegetation and control that from the beginning rather than where we are right now, we're fighting too much in the water. We don't want to be where we are either. That's not.
Well, I'll just answer that. So in your reference to chemical spraying, because that's what you're referencing, and I'll just state it. When you look at what we have to do from an integrated pest management plan, and when we look at pests, we look at weeds along with insects and different things. You have to use elements of everything that's in the toolbox because one specific measure isn't going to solve every problem. So yes, chemical applications within our stormwater system per our integrated pest management plan for our stormwater system is one of the tools that we use in our toolbox. Some of these projects, if we can get them and get funding for them, will assist us in continuing to reduce. But I can tell you that we have seen a huge reduction in the applications that we use within the city with our integrated pest management plan in parks, properties, and also within our stormwater system. So that has been an initiative from the city. It was with a lot of input when we went through our integrated pest management plan, and that's where we currently are. But it is a portion of what we use to maintain our system.
Our habitat. It's not Agent Orange.
We do not use Agent Orange, no.
So again,
But I don't want to get too much. Look, I just gave you all the answer of what we use there. If you want to speak to me specifically or Karen specifically about the products we use, we follow our integrated pest management plan.
And I can talk to everyone about that, but I also really recommend you go to our website. All of this lovely information is there. If you look at our city website, and if you go to our city cityofsebastian.org, and you go to departments, and you go to stormwater, there are many different stormwater pages. There's one specifically on stormwater master plan. We also have our integrated pest management plan is related to that, and I know it's also on our natural resources board page, also on a lot of our references you'll see are cross-referenced by different departments. So if you don't find it in one place, you might find it in another. And if you can't find it at all, reach out to the citizen request line. We'll help you.
So what other questions do you all have?
I have a question about the Concha Dam. Are you modifying that to change the elevation of the water? I live on Project 10, so I'm concerned about seawalls. I know they have some toe failure, and I think a lot of the toe failure is because the hydraulic load keeps the seawalls back. If we drop the elevation, I think we're going to have some more seawall failure.
And that's one thing that I mentioned slightly before. One of their recommendations was to increase capacity and storage in the canal system and be able to adjust that weir and change the elevation. They're proposing that, but we want to do a more in-depth study to see if it does impact those seawalls and if that is going to be an issue.
A good portion of that canal is on the Stormwater Park. It seems like just, regrading that bank, you could gain quite a bit of capacity just by grading the Stormwater Park bank, because it's just all invasive plants right now.
Thank you.
Oh, so when he's talking about toe stabilization, that's like the footing and the base of the seawall. So just for everyone else. So it's undermining the base. It's undermining what's holding up that wall so that if it's failing, the whole thing can come down. I hope yeah, okay. For everyone else. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Peter Hink, and this is a little off track, but it has a lot to do with stormwater. I'm involved with the Indian River Keepers, and they're working with MRC. And MRC has had a rain barrel project up in the next county north of here where they supplied rain barrels. And they're now using a new type of rain barrel, and they're expanding it to all of the counties up and down the Indian River Lagoon. So these are nonprofit organizations that work on helping the lagoon. And I have some flyers here. I would just like to leave them with you all because you all could basically share it. And there's no cost to the city to help promote this. The rain barrels are about half the price that you would pay at a retail store. And it helps reduce the runoff into our stormwater. And it's excellent. I use it. I got 3 of them. I use them on my garden. If you all ever been on my Facebook page and seen the vegetables I grow, it's amazing what you can do with rainwater. But it's a great project. The city could help promote it. It wouldn't cost you a penny other than just putting it out there. But it's a really great project.
And what he's talking about with rain barrels is something that you can put at the base of your gutter to contain that gutter water coming off your roof runoff, so it's not just your gutters are draining. Many people drain them to their driveway. It drains on the concrete down to the road, and then there's a puddle at the end of their driveway because it can't get back. So if you're reducing the stormwater that gets into the system by holding it in a rain barrel, you can then use it to water plants and other things.
Yeah, they're 55-gallon, and they're really high quality. They're actually recycled. They come from Italy, and they brought olive and olive oil. So we've recycled them, and they're all fully plumbed, and all you have to do is just hook it up to your gutter, and it saves, it also saves money on your sprinklers and stuff. You can use it in your gardens and your plants and things.
The only thing I have to say about that is just like everything else, there's maintenance. Beware.
Yeah.
Look up the maintenance. I just don't want everyone to go out and get a rain barrel and then not look at it, and you have mosquitoes and things, but every single thing everyone has maintenance. So just be aware of it.
Well, thank you.
But yeah.
There's a website, too. If you click on it, it explains everything. And, it tells you about the maintenances that's involved and things to do to reduce, like they have screens to keep the mosquitoes out and things. But thank you for your time.
Any other questions, comments, questions? No?
And again, if you think of something after this point, those cards that you've taken on the back, there's one is the citizens request line. It shows the website as well as that QR code. On the other side, it shows the survey from today that was done earlier. We also have this capital improvement project survey.
Yeah, and I just want to say, we'll make sure that we have all these surveys up on the city website as well, and we'll get them on our social media so that you all will have some additional time to fill this information out. Our biggest goal today was to get input from you all in what we currently do, what you would like to see us do, and what projects we need to look at. That's our biggest goal with the Stormwater Master Plan. Everybody says, well, you develop a Stormwater Master Plan or you develop a master plan in general and you do nothing with it. We want to make sure we're taking what's in this master plan and we can start to implement some of these measures across the city and better our stormwater system in general. So we'd be happy. I know staff's going to continue to be here. If you all could just continue to provide your feedback to us, take the surveys on our website, and you can come and speak with us as well. We'll be here, but thank you all for taking the time to come today. We appreciate it.
I'm gonna grab